All right, welcome back. We're going to continue in Genesis and we're going to be looking at Genesis 26. Before we do, we're going to see how sons follow in their father's footsteps, oftentimes. And oftentimes, the following of the footsteps is for good or for bad. That is why it's really important, us as fathers, even if you're not sure, like me, how to be a father when I first became a father, you definitely want to make sure you understand that your sons are watching you. And regardless of what you think of yourself, your sons are always going to look up to you and they're going to want to be like you. Generally, that's how it is. That is why I remember when I was little, I would try to put on my father's shoes. I don't know if you ever did that, but I was little. I'd go in his room and look at and walk in his shoes, try to put on his shoes, and because I wanted to be like my father. I mean, I think it's natural, and so we follow our father's footsteps for good or for bad. And I want to take a look at Ezekiel chapter 20 because it's a good example of this. And many people try to deny this truth that sons follow in father's footsteps. Try to deny this truth. You don't have to be like your father if your father ended up not doing so well in life or not being a responsible daddy. You don't actually have to be like him, but you're going to have those traits. And yes, there are things you can do about that. We'll talk about that in a moment. But there is proof, and there's lots of living proof, that children follow father's footsteps. Okay? In Ezekiel chapter 20. Ezekiel chapter 20. I'm going to begin at verse 1 and go down to verse 9. I'm going to begin at verse 1 and go down to verse 8. Ezekiel chapter 20. From verse 1 to verse 8. And it came to pass in the 7th year, in the 5th month of the 10th day of the month, that certain of the elders of Israel came to inquire of Yahweh and sat before me. So Ezekiel's a prophet. He's also a Levite priest. And in those days, it was not uncommon, as is not really today, for people to want to get an answer from the Creator from a person that's a prophet or a priest. They're asking questions about the Creator or of the Creator, and they want the priest to pray for them, or if it's a prophet as Ezekiel, to get a word from the Most High Spirit for them. Verse 2. Then came the word of Yahweh unto me, saying, Son of man, speak unto the elders of Israel, and say unto them, Thus saith the Most High Yahweh, Are ye come to inquire of me? As I live, saith the Most High Yahweh, I will not be inquired of by you. Wilt thou judge them, son of man? Wilt thou judge them, cause them to know the abominations of their fathers? So, children of Israel come to inquire of the Father through his prophet Ezekiel. And the answer from the Father by his Spirit is, cause them to know the abominations of their fathers. Cause them to know the abominations of their fathers. Verse 5. And say unto them, Thus saith the Most High Yahweh, In the day when I chose Israel, I lifted up my hand unto the seed of the house of Jacob, and made myself known unto them in the land of Egypt. When I lifted up my hand unto them, saying, I am Yahweh, your Most High. In that day I lifted up mine hand unto them to bring them forth of the land of Egypt, into a land I had espied for them, flowing with milk and honey, which is the glory of all lands. Then said I unto them, Cast ye away every man the abominations of his eyes, and defile not yourselves with the idols of Egypt. I am Yahweh, your Most High. But they rebelled against me and would not hearken unto me. They did not every man cast away the abominations of their eyes, neither did they forsake the idols of Egypt. Then I said, I will pour out my fury upon them to accomplish my anger against them in the midst of the land of Egypt. Verse 9. But I wrought for my name's sake that I should not that it should not be polluted before the heathen among whom they were, in whose sight I made myself known unto them in bringing them forth of the land of Egypt. So they're inquiring, they're in captivity. Ezekiel is of the captivity. So they're in captivity and they come to the prophet and they seek to inquire of Yah. And Yah says, I will not be inquired of by them. Cause them to know the sins of their fathers. Now, why is this important? Brethren, all of us are sinners. All of us are sinners. It goes deeper than just saying that. But think about what I just said. All of us are sinners. Some of the habits of our sinful character we have picked up on our own. Some of the habits of our sinful character we get from our fathers. Some of the habits of our sinful characters we have picked up on our own. Some of the habits of our sinful characters we inherit from our fathers. Now, when we say we are sinners, we must understand this, that we have things that are in us that we have gotten developed from our own experience, and there are things we have inherited from our parents and from our parents' parents. And in the case of multiple generations, from multiple generations, right? So we've inherited things. Now, if you understand where you come from and you understand who you are, you can gain a bit of an understanding of what you've inherited. Do you understand that? No pun intended. Do you understand that? So if you understand where you come from and you understand who you are, you can get an idea of what you've inherited. Okay? And this is for good or for bad, for both. So Ezekiel is the Most High is telling them through Ezekiel, know the abominations of your fathers. Why is he saying that? Because he's saying you're repeating the same thing as your fathers. You're repeating the same steps. You're walking in the same steps of your fathers. Look where they are. They're in captivity. Why are they in captivity? Disobedience and rebellion against the Father. Okay? So they're inquiring, but the answer is in their own family. The answer is there. They just wouldn't receive that. But the prophet told them straight, I want you to remember the sins of your fathers, he's telling you. I revealed myself to them and they rebelled against me, just like you're doing. And this is where pride comes in, brother. Because some of us don't want to know where we really come from, what we really are. Now, for a lot of us, it's pretty clear. We may not like it. Like, you know, I know my family. I mean, there's some rough people. There's some rough folks on my father's side. My mother's side, very, very snooty, stuck up Jamaican people. Proud Jamaican people. Very proud Jamaican people. And so I know where I come from and what I am made up of just from them, for good and for bad. Okay? That helps me when I'm coming to the Heavenly Father. Why, brethren? Because ultimately, our Heavenly Father wants us to walk in his steps. There's no greater Father than the Creator. And he gave us an example of how to walk in his steps in Messiah. And then there were others like Ezekiel, like Enoch. We say he walked with the Most High. That means you're walking in the steps of the Heavenly Father. That's what you want to do. Understanding your shortcomings from your own fathers. Does that make sense? Because you're gonna walk the same path that your daddy did, unless there's a change. And the change comes when you go higher than your daddy, when you go to your Heavenly Father. So you're still going to have habits, inclinations, and things that tend to your earthly father, for good or for bad. But the object is to understand that and to seek your Heavenly Father. Does that make sense, brother? In Psalms 85, this reminds me of this, Psalms 85. I'm going to read from verse 8 down to verse 13 of Psalms 85. Psalms 85 from verse 8 to verse 13. I will hear what the Most High Yahweh will speak, for he will speak peace unto his people and to his saints. But let them not turn again to folly. Surely his salvation is nigh them that fear him. That glory may dwell in our land. Mercy and truth are met together. Righteousness and peace have kissed each other. Truth shall spring out of the earth, and righteousness shall look down from heaven. Yea, Yahweh shall give that which is good, and our land shall yield her increase. Now watch verse 13. Righteousness shall go before him, and shall set us in the way of his steps. So no matter what our background, we can go to the Heavenly Father and seek his spirit to walk in his steps. It is natural for us to walk in our earthly father's steps because we're all earthly. Does that make sense? We are carnal. We're born that way. We're earthly. We would have things like that. Now, like I said, I come from a family that, on the negative side, long line of alcoholics and wife beaters, women beaters, long line, okay, of men that beat up their women, right? So my mother said, promise me you'll never hit a woman. And I promised her that. And I praise the Most High, I've been able to keep that promise. Never hit a woman, ever. I even let one beat me up in a karate tournament because my instructor was demanding that I hit this girl that's going to fight me in a karate tournament. And I couldn't do it because I promised my mother I would never hit a woman. See, I couldn't do it. Okay, so that was me. I knew that I had that in me. I could feel the anger of my ancestors in my spirit. I knew I had that in me, but I prayed. I sought the Most High. I didn't want to be like my father. I didn't want to be like my ancestor. Even now, when my father sees wine in my cabinet, he's nervous. And he always says, you come from a long line of alcoholics. And I said, yes, Pop, I know. Because he knows also. See? But I go to my Heavenly Father. And when I look at wine, for example, I'm looking at his word. And he's telling me, he's teaching me, you better respect it. It'll make you look stupid. If you don't respect it, it'll make you look stupid. Yes, it'll bring a smile to your face. It'll cause your face to shine. But don't disrespect it because you'll look stupid. So you have your fathers. Well, look, here, the bloodline of the Hebrews, why are we in our situation? Because we have followed the steps of our fathers, right? We have followed the steps of our fathers, and we're worshiping false gods, and we forgot who we were. But now the awakening is bringing us back to what the Heavenly Father called us to be. Okay, and all peoples deal with this, but most people don't want to deal with it. So what I just described to you in terms of the scattered nation, is a macro level of why we are in the condition that we are. We are not in this condition because the white man is mean to us or because he kidnapped and enslaved us. We're in this condition because our fathers worshiped other gods, and we tend to do it also. You're following me? And in order for us to recognize who we are, to come into the knowledge of self, we must acknowledge that. Now, there's two sides. We also come from kings and queens. We come from kings and queens. Okay, so there's two sides of that. We come from kings and queens, and we come from idol worshipers too. Both sides. And that is part of what the children of Yefet are dealing with now, being in power. They're dealing with who they really are. They won't accept, the modern ones won't accept that they're the children of slavers, that they're the children of rapists and murderers. They won't accept that. So therefore, they're not accepting who they are. Therefore, they're having a hard time dealing with the reality of where we are now. Like I remember just a few months ago, on my Nick's channel, I always bring curses on those that exploit teenagers and children for sex. I ask for curses. I bring curses upon them. Those of you that have seen my videos know that I pray for curses upon everyone that abuses children and teenagers for sex or sex slavery or prostitution. Ask for the Most High to curse them. Okay, and since somebody say, well, you know, our problem with that comes from the southern border. In other words, this Caucasian man was trying to tell me it's because of Spanish people that we have this problem come from the southern border. And I said, and I said this to him and didn't hear back. I said, the majority of people in the United States that are convicted sex offenders are Caucasian males, by far. The market for little children is driven by Caucasian males. Not that there's not Asian or Black people or red people that are not sex offenders, but you want to talk about, because he said the southern border is the problem. I said the problem is not the southern border. The problem is the demand being driven by Caucasian males. They create the demand. He did not want to hear that. As long as it was being blamed of another race of people, he was cool with that. But when it was his own race of people, he didn't want to talk about that. And it's the same with every one of us. We who are bloodline Hebrews are awakened to who we are because we've read the curses of Deuteronomy. And we know that that fits us, that we're the only people on planet Earth that Bible is talking about. And so when we receive that, it helps us awaken to who we are and why we're here. And that opens all other things up. Because just like we say, oh man, we're the ones that worshiped other gods. We're the ones that got cursed like that because we didn't keep the commandments of Yah. But at the same time, the Messiah is our cousin. Works both ways. See? So you have to acknowledge who you are. And the likelihood is there's the high percentage chance you're going to walk in your father's steps, for good or for bad. But you want to walk in the steps of the Father of righteousness when you're conscious of him, because then he can overcome your fathers. Okay? He can overcome. And so Isaac is an example. And that's what chapter 26 of Genesis shows us. He walked in the steps of Abraham. He walked in the steps of Abraham. And that's why Messiah said, and again, we know this from John chapter 8, Gospel of John chapter 8. Gospel of John chapter 8. I'm going to start at verse 33. Actually, let me start at verse 31 and go down to verse 42. Actually, from verse 31 to verse 44. Yeah, from 31, John chapter 8, from 31 to 44. This is very telling. Then said YHWH to those Jews which believed on him, if ye continue in my word, then are ye my disciples indeed, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Isn't this key here? So all of us, no matter what color you are, no matter what heritage you are, what you first need is the truth. The truth of who you are, the truth of your history, of your family, the truth of your fathers, whatever it is, for good or for bad, you need to receive the truth. That's the difference between the disciples of the Messiah and the followers of the Father Yah and those who are not. The truth shall make you free. Praise the Most High. Then answered him, we be Abraham's seed, and were never in bondage to any man. How sayest thou, ye shall be made free? YHWH answered them, verily, verily I say unto you, whosoever committeth sin is the servant of sin. And the servant abideth not in the house forever, but the Son abideth ever. If the Son therefore shall make you free, ye shall be free indeed. I know that ye are Abraham's seed, but ye seek to kill me, because my word hath no place in you. I speak that which I have seen with my Father, and ye do that which ye have seen with your father. They answered and said unto him, Abraham is our father. YHWH said unto them, if ye were Abraham's children, ye would do the works of Abraham. You would follow in your father's footsteps. But now ye seek to kill me, a man which have told you the truth, which I have heard of Yah. Thus did not Abraham. Ye do the deeds of your father. They said unto him, we be not born of fornication. We have one father, even Yah. Messiah YHWH said unto them, if Yah were your father, ye would love me, for I proceeded forth and came from Yah. Neither came I of myself, but he sent me. Why do ye not understand my speech? Even because ye cannot hear my word. Ye are of your father, the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. So when you learn of the heavenly Father, you and I, we start to look on a higher plane, a spiritual plane. We still have the habits of our earthly fathers, the carnal habits. We do have them. But Messiah's atonement causes us to overcome and to see things on a higher plane. Even though they were physically the seed of Abraham, they were the followers of the devil. Whereas Messiah is the Messiah, the Father's Son, sent by the Father. And they could not recognize him because their spirit was on the devil's plane instead of the higher plane of the Father. Okay. Okay, got me. Jews comes from Yahudah. YHWH is the way you say it in ancient Hebrew. YHWH or Yahudi or the Yahudim, which is the tribe of Judah, the southern kingdom. Yeah. Praise the Most High. So that is how we follow the footsteps of our fathers, both from our immediate daddies to our granddaddies and great granddaddies, and going all the way back. That's how we follow our father's footsteps, unless we're on a higher spiritual level, which the Heavenly Father would have us become. That's what this whole process is about, taking sons and daughters of Adam and making them sons and daughters of the Father Yahweh. Okay, starting with the bloodline, but also, of course, as we know, to the Gentiles as well. Okay, so now Isaac is an excellent example of this, and I don't think it's a coincidence that the events that we see in Genesis 26 are being recorded for us to see that. So let's take a look here. Genesis chapter 26, beginning at verse 1. Genesis 26, beginning at verse 1. And there was a famine in the land, beside the first famine that was in the days of Abraham. And Isaac went unto Abimelech, king of the Philistines, unto Gerar. So Abimelech was the same Abimelech of the Philistines that Abraham had dealt with. Now his son is dealing with him. There's a famine in the land of Canaan. And he's going. Now, if you recall, Abraham went to Egypt when he had the famine too. He not only saw Abimelech, but he also went to Egypt, and that's where he got Hagar as the servant there. But here is his son dealing with the same thing. Verse 2. And Yahweh appeared unto him and said, Go not down into Egypt, dwell in the land which I shall tell thee of. See, brethren, and we have seen this when you studied the Bible. There is a long history between the Hebrews and the children of Mizraim. A long history. Okay, there's a long history between us, we're talking about centuries of history. Okay, between the children of Israel and the children of Mizraim, so that the ancient children of Mizraim and the ancient Israelite children are really, really close. Their bloodline is mixed. They look a lot alike, and they have a history. So Abraham went down to Mizraim when his famine, and the father had to tell his son, do not go to Mizraim. No, don't go there. Stay here. Okay. But then we know later on, Jacob and the 70 souls went into Mizraim and stayed there for a minute, right? Then they came out. We know that whenever there was problems with Israel, with other nations, they would often call on Egypt. They did it so much that it was either, I think it was Isaiah, the Most High was rebuking them through Isaiah because they were calling on Egypt too much. We also know, of course, that Messiah, when his life was threatened as a baby, 3 years old, the angel said, go down to Mizraim. It was common. So for people to think that for some reason now, when the Jerusalem was destroyed the last time, when we really inhabited it and we were scattered, that we didn't go to Africa, it's silly. It's a long history of us going to Africa, a long history, which is why you saw Simon of Cyrene, which is why you saw the Libertines, which is why you saw Niger. All of these men were coming into Jerusalem at the time of the Messiah because they were Hebrews that had been scattered from their land, and as many of their fathers did, went down into what we now call Africa. They went down into Cush, they went down into Mizraim, they went into Put, they went into all of these lands. Libya at that time was different than it is now. There was no Islam then, okay? They were darker people. Then, of course, Simon of Cyrene. Cyrene is North Africa. Okay, Niger, obvious. They called him black. So the Ethiopian eunuch, there was a lot of history. The Queen of Sheba and Solomon and so on and so forth. A lot of history between Africa and Hebrews. As a matter of fact, if it was today, you could actually say they are African. Why could you say the Hebrews are African? Because the land that the Hebrews came from was really originally Africa. They tried to separate it to try to separate us from the heritage of the land. But we really are all from that land. It was all one land until they built a canal to divide it. It's all one land. Okay. But now they call it Middle East to try to separate it from its African heritage. Okay, but there's a lot of connection between the children of Shem in terms of the chosen seed and the Hamites. A lot of connection, brethren. A lot of connection. Okay, but in the modern age of Yafet, they really are trying to separate us from our heritage, separate us from our connection, separate us from who we are, and try to make themselves the discoverers of everything. But the Bible shows us the truth. So here, the father is trying to tell Abraham's son, don't go to Mizraim, because that's his automatic famine left. Let's go to Egypt. Time to go to Egypt. No, stay right here. Okay, stay right here. Okay, verse 3. sojourn in this land, and I will be with thee, and will bless thee. For unto thee and unto thy seed I will give all these countries, and will perform the oath which I swear unto Abraham thy father. So he's telling Isaac, to your seed, your nation, I'm giving you all these countries. Now look, think about that now. So that's the Philistine land, the Syrian land, Jordan's land, all that land. I'm gonna give you all this land, so you could, don't worry, I'm giving you a seed. Brethren, the original borders that were supposed to make up the promised land go all the way to the Euphrates. It was way past the Jordan. It goes to the Euphrates River. It goes all the way to the border of Egypt. That's the original land. When you look at what the Bible describes, the land that he was giving us, it goes from the Euphrates all the way to the borders of Egypt, and all the way to the coastline of the Mediterranean. Okay, so it was a much larger land than we know. Okay, but we're going to get this when it's made new again in the next few years. Okay, we got this last Jubilee coming up on this side of the captivity. That's what this next Jubilee represents to me. The last Jubilee on this side of the captivity. The next Jubilee is going to be on the other side of the captivity. Praise the Most High. Okay, yeah, 2077 will not be this system. I can tell you that right now, okay, according to the word. But he says, sojourn in this land, because I'm going to give you and your seed all these countries. So stay right here. Verse 4. And I will make thy seed to multiply as the stars of heaven, and will give unto thy seed all these countries, and in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because that Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws. So Abraham was obedient to the covenant. Covenant wasn't given to Moses yet, but apparently Abraham knew it already and was obedient to the covenant. And his son was going to walk in his steps. Praise the Most High. Verse 6, and Isaac dwelt in Gerar. Verse 7, this sounds familiar. Look, and the men of the place asked him of his wife. And he said, she is my sister. For he feared to say, she is my wife, lest, said he, the men of the place should kill me for Rebekah, because she was fair to look upon. So again, walking in the steps of his daddy, he does the same thing, because his wife is fine, just like Sarah was apparently fine. And so now he said, well, these brothers are going to kill me for my wife, because this sister is something else. So he said to his sister, says to his wife, tell me you're my sister, so they won't kill me. Verse 8, and it came to pass when he had been there a long time, that Abimelech, king of the Philistines, looked out at a window and saw, and behold, Isaac was sporting with Rebekah, his wife. And Abimelech called Isaac and said, behold, of a surety she is thy wife. How saidest thou, she is my sister? And Isaac said to him, because I said, lest I die for her. And Abimelech said, what is this thou hast done unto us? One of the people might likely have lain with thy wife. Shouldst thou have brought guiltiness upon us? And Abimelech charged all his people, saying, he that touches this man or his wife shall surely be put to death. Then Isaac sowed in the land and received in the same year 100-fold, and Yahweh blessed him. Yes, so just like Abraham, the Most High was looking out. And brethren, you and I have seen these things before. Like, the Most High is with us because we've surrendered to be his servants, and we mess up and make a mistake, and the Most High help cover the mistake for us. Has that ever happened? I know it's happened to me, where I was like, oh man, I messed up, and then he covers the mistake because he's with you. And you learn, don't just keep doing that, man, because he's guiding you. And so that's what he did here. Yeah, he was sporting with it. That's right. So he made this mistake. And Abimelech had definitely seen this movie before, and he didn't want. The last time, remember, the father had shut up all the wombs in the Philistines' land because of Sarah. He said, "Nah, I've seen this movie before. We're not going down this path no more." So the Most High blessed him there. Verse 13. And the man waxed great and went forward and grew until he became very great. And for he had possession of flocks and possession of herds and great store of servants, and the Philistines envied him. Now I want to tell you one thing though that may not come out here, but if you study it yourself, you'll see. Abraham was still with Isaac. Abraham lived until the twin boys turned 15. The Bible say that Abraham dwelt with them in tents. Abraham dwelt with Isaac and Rebekah and Esau and Jacob for 15 years. So after they were born, so he was with them a long time so Abraham was with them all. So remember, Isaac didn't beget those two boys until he was 60. Okay, he was 60 years old. When Isaac was 60 years old, Abraham was 160. So Abraham lived to be 175. So he was there 15 years after the birth of these twins. So Abimelech might have seen Abraham there too. Okay, but Abraham was with traveling with them when in the beginning of their journeys. Abraham was still there. Okay, even though the Bible records him dying, it's not necessarily chronological like that when you look at their ages. Okay, when you look at their ages. Okay. Verse 15, for all the wells which his father's servants had digged in the days of Abraham his father, the Philistines had stopped them and filled them with earth. And Abimelech said unto Isaac, go from us, for thou art much mightier than we. And Isaac departed thence, and they pitched his tent and pitched his tent in the valley of Gerar and dwelt there. And Isaac digged again the wells of water which they had digged in the days of Abraham his father, for the Philistines had stopped them after the death of Abraham, and called their names after the names by which his father had called them. So now at this point, Abraham had died. Okay, so you can see it. He said he undigged these wells after the death of his father. So at this point now, the boys are at least 15 or older. Abraham had died, and they're now settling in Gerar and reopening the wells of water that had been stuffed up by the Philistines. Verse 19. And Isaac's servants digged in the valley and found there a well of springing water. And the herdmen of Gerar did strive with Isaac's herdmen, saying, the water is ours. And he called the name of the well Eshak, because they strove with him. And they digged another well and strove for that also. And he called the name of it Shitnah. And he removed from thence and digged another well, for that they strove not. And he called the name of it Rehoboth, and said, for now Yahweh hath made room for us, and we will be fruitful in the land. And he sent up from thence to went up from thence to Beersheba, and Yahweh appeared unto him the same night and said, I am the Most High of Abraham thy father. Fear not, for I am with thee, and will bless thee and multiply thy seed for my servant Abraham's sake. So he appeared to Isaac and let Isaac know, as I was with your daddy, I'm going to be with you. I'm blessed. I promised your daddy a great nation. You are going to be also a great nation. And he built an altar there and called upon the name of Yahweh and pitched his tent there. And there Isaac's servants digged a well. And Abimelech went to him from Gerar, and Ahuzah, one of his friends, and pitched in Phicol, the chief captain of his army. And Isaac said unto them, wherefore come ye to me, seeing that ye hate me and have sent me away from you? And they said, we saw certainly that Yahweh was with thee. And we said, let there be now an oath betwixt us, even betwixt us and thee, and let us make a covenant with thee. So now, brethren, let me ask you all a question. If you're walking with the Heavenly Father, we already saw how he will protect you even from your own mistakes. Will he be with you so that the heathen will know he's with you? Will the heathen know that he's with you? These heathen knew. Is there aside from this witness, is there another witness? Yes. One of my favorite Psalms says this. This is Psalms 126. Psalms 126. Watch this. Psalm 126. It's a short psalm. It's only a couple of verses, but there's a verse in there that this reminds me of. Psalm 126. Yeah, Psalm 126 is only 6 verses, but look at this. Psalm 126. We're going to begin at verse 1. Watch verse 2, though. Psalm 126. I'm going to read from 1 to 6, but it's verse 2. We'll come right back to Genesis chapter 26. When Yahweh turned again the captivity of Zion, we were like them that dream. Then was our mouth filled with laughter, and our tongue with singing. Then said they among the heathen, Yahweh hath done great things for them. Yahweh hath done great things for us, whereof we are glad. Turn again our captivity, O Yahweh, as the streams in the south. They that sow in tears shall reap in joy. He that goeth forth and weepeth, bearing precious seed, shall doubtless come again with rejoicing, bring his sheaves with him. Yes, another psalm says, weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. This is the heritage of the saints of Yahweh. So, brethren, when you are walking in the spirit on a higher plane than the rest, in the higher plane that you even might have walked on before you knew the Father Yahweh, you're walking in the higher plane because you're walking in his spirit, in his perfection of righteousness, and you're walking in faith. When you're doing that, he goes before you. He goes before you. And you may not know where he's sending you, but he does. And you may not know the people, but he does. And don't worry, he's going to protect you. He did it here. And he shows us in Psalms the same thing. Okay. You might not be wealthy in terms of the Ashkenazi dollars, but he's going to give you the favor that you need and protect you where you're going and provide for you. Okay. He promised that. So here in back to Genesis chapter 26, Isaac said, y'all, kick me out your land, stuffing up my well, stealing my water. Y'all don't like me. And that's what he said. That's when they said, verse 28, Genesis 26, verse 28. And they said, we saw certainly that Yahweh was with you. And we said, let there be now an oath betwixt us, even betwixt us and thee, and let us make a covenant with thee. Now, if you recall, Abimelech made a covenant with Abraham. Now, again, let us remember, Abimelech represents Philistines. They're Hamites, but we know the history, the later history between Philistines and Israelites. Okay, so they're trying to get peace with Isaac, but later on, their seeds would have a problem. Okay, so let's go to verse 29. That thou wilt do us no hurt, as we have not touched thee, and as we have done unto thee nothing but good, and have sent thee away in peace. Thou art now blessed of Yahweh. And they made them a feast, and did eat and drink, and they rose up betimes in the morning, and swear one to another, and Isaac sent them away, and they departed from him in peace. And it came to pass the same day that Isaac's servants came and told him concerning the well which he had digged, and said unto him, we have found water. And he called it Shabah. Therefore, the name of the city is called Beer Sheba, or Beer Shabah. Okay, praise the Most High. Verse 33, the well of oath, Beer Shabah, unto this day. And Esau was 40 years old when he took to wife Judith, the daughter of Beeri the Hittite, Bashemath, the daughter of Elon the Hittite, which were a grief of mine unto Isaac and Rebekah. So now the twins turned 40. About time they get married. We see that now because Isaac was 40 when he married Rebekah. And so now Esau is 40 and he's taken 2 wives. He took Judith, the wife of Beeri the Hittite, and Bashemath, the daughter of Elon the Hittite. So he took 2 Hittite women as his wives. Now, that's why I said there is a bloodline of Edom, and then there's Edom that inherited Edom by worshiping Edom's God, right? The bloodline of Edom married these two women that were Hittites. Question. Where did the Hittites come from? In the Bible, where do you see Hittites living? Where did they come from? What was their land, the Hittites? Y'all remember? What was the Hittites' land? Where did they come from? Where were they living? What area of the world? That's right. Hittites were from the land of Canaan. Okay, so let me ask you. That's true. Hittites were from the land of Canaan. I'm going to show you that in a second. So Hittites are from the land of Canaan. Which one of the three brothers? Ham, Shem, Ham, or Japheth? Which one of the three brothers? Shem, Ham, or Japheth? That's right. They were Hamitic. So therefore, they come from darker races of people, right? They were from melanated people. So your Hittites were melanated people, and they were dwelling already in the land of Canaan, and they were going to be taken out of that land. Matter of fact, let's take a look. Let's see. I was looking in Genesis 10, but it doesn't really give me that. But let's take a look in Genesis 10 anyway. Genesis chapter 10. I'll give you another one after this because it does specifically say Hittite. I want something that says Hittite. But let's take a look at Genesis chapter 10. Genesis chapter 10. And I'm going to begin at verse 13. Genesis chapter 10, beginning at verse 13. And I'm going to read down from verse 13 unto verse 19 because it mentions Gerar, which we know that's where the Philistines are. Okay. And Mizraim begot Lawadim and Amanim and Lahabim and Naphtawim and Bathrusim and Kasluim, out of whom came Philistine and Kaphtorim. And Canaan begot Sidon, his firstborn, and Heth, and the Jebusite, and the Amorite, and the Girgasite, and the Hivite, and the Archite, and the Sinite, and the Arvadite, and the Samarite, and the Hamathite, and afterwards were the families of the Canaanites spread abroad. And the border of Canaanites was from Sidon, as thou comest unto Gerar, unto Gaza, as thou goest unto Sodom and Gomorrah, and Admah, and Zeboim, even unto Lasha. So, and these are the sons of Ham, after their families, after their tongues, in their nations. So it doesn't say Hittites exactly, but let me just get one that says it because that's the point we were trying to make. So I just want to find that. Here it is. Let's go to Genesis chapter 15 when Yahweh made the covenant with Abraham. And then I'm going to read from verse I'm going to start at verse 13. Genesis chapter 15 from verse 13 down to verse 21. 21. Genesis chapter 15 from verse 13 to verse 21. This is the one that gives me at least one witness of this. We're going to see others also when we would see others when we got to Deuteronomy. But let's see. And he said unto Abraham, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and they shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. Also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterward shall they come out with great substance. And thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace, and thou shalt be buried in a good old age. But in the fourth generation they shall come hither again, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. And it came to pass, when the sun went down and it was dark, behold, a smoking furnace and a burning lamp that passed between those pieces. In the same day, Yahweh made a covenant with Abraham and said, unto thy seed have I given this land, from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates. See, that's what he said. He said, from the river of Egypt until Euphrates. See, that's where the borders are supposed to be. And the Canaanites and the Kenizzites and the Cadmonites and the Hittites and the Perizzites and the Raphaims and the Amorites and the Canaanites and the Girgashites and the Jebusites. So he names the Hittites. So we know the Hittite people were Hamitic people that dwelt in the land of Canaan. At least one of the areas they dwelt, we know. We know now, we saw the border from the river of Egypt all the way to the Euphrates is the land that was promised to our fathers which we will inherit. Praise the Most High. And so now you can see here that Esau is marrying 2 African women. That's our point here. Esau didn't marry 2 Japhetic women. Esau married 2 African women. And he had children with them. Okay. Later on, he married one of Ishmael's daughters, another African. So the bloodline of Edom, we know he mixed with African nations. But later on, when you had the royal seed of Edom, they mixed with Romans. And then later, their religions went to Khazaria and Ashkenaz. Y'all following me? That's what I used to get confused, but after reading the Bible so many times, it starts to become clearer. So there's a bloodline Edomites that are melanated people. Then there is the royalty that later was Edom's royalty. And this is many generations later, talking about many centuries. And then they mixed with Romans. And they ruled northern tribes of Galilee. And they became converts to Judaism. They went into Europe and then went into Eastern Europe, and that religion was taken up by Ashkenazis. So that today Ashkenazis are Edomites. Y'all got that? And so you have original Edomites that were scattered from the land, as we saw. And then you got Edomites that are following Judaism, as we can see. Okay. So this, because this was, when I first started in this truth, I was searching like all of us. And I heard a number of Hebrews say that Esau was a white man and that Esau was born white. He had leprosy, and that's why his people was light. And, that's, but I was looking at this, and if you even have somebody that has the diverticulitis or vitiligo, I think it's called vitiligo, where your skin is turning white from brown. Okay, I've met people like that, especially people from Africa where that was happening. But their children, when they married a person of their lineage, like another Ethiopian, their children come out black. So here I'm looking at Esau. Let's assume Esau was white. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, he was white. But he married 2 African women. And he had children with them women. Then he married another African woman from Ishmael. So his children had to have some melanin, right? So I'm like, well, then they can't be the white man. So I just was confused. But then as I started reading the Bible, I started seeing things. Really the key was Herod. When Herod was the tetrarch of Galilee and his brother, the Edomite, was also tetrarch in Edomia, I said, oh, and they're connected with the Romans. That Luke chapter 3 helped me a lot. I said, oh, they're connected with the Romans. And then when you understand that the Ashkenazis are not bloodline Semites at all, that's why it's crazy when they call somebody anti-Semite, because they're not Semites at all. So how did they become the Edomites? Well, because they picked up Judaism. They picked up Judaism. That's the religion of Edom. They picked up Judaism. Because there's no Judaism. See, people hear Judaism and they're trying to say, oh, they're from the Bible. No, they're not. Because Judaism is not a religion in the Bible. Neither is Christianity. Okay? But people, that's the brainwashing. You get these things related in your brain because people told you that. But when you read the word, it's not true. Not true at all. Okay? There is no religion of the chosen people. There's a God of the chosen people. There's founders of the nation of the chosen people. But the God that we worship is not a religion. He's a living God. That's why he's called the living God. Okay? Yah is his name. He gave us his name. He told Moses, this is my name. I'm the God of your fathers. And that's why when you see this mentioned, Daniel, the God of our fathers, he would say, the God of our fathers has revealed this to us. It's not a religion. It's the God of their fathers, the God of the founders of the nation. Okay. That's what we have. There's no name put to a religion in the Bible for us. No name put to a religion. So when somebody say, I'm a Christian, they're really saying to you, I am a follower of the religion of Christianity. That's what they're saying. They're not just saying I'm a follower of the Messiah, the Hebrew Messiah. No, they're saying because the followers of the Hebrew Messiah, at least they started calling themselves messianic because he is a Messiah. So they said, we're messianic. We're followers of the Messiah. That makes sense. But when you say Christian, it's not meaning followers of messianic. It's meaning I'm a follower of the religion of Christianity. When somebody says, I am a Jew, today I'm Jewish, what they telling you? I come from a heritage of people that are followers of Judaism. That's what they're saying, right? Jewish is not a race of people. It's a people that are followers of the traditions of Judaism. Judaism includes the Talmud. The Bible has no Talmud, no Judaism in the Bible. And they say that their religion was founded by Abraham. They're one of the three Abrahamic religions because the three religions called Abrahamic are claiming Abraham as their founder, both Islam, Judaism, and Christianity. They call them Abrahamic religions. False, according to the Bible. Abraham, our father, created no religion. He was not the creator of any religion. He wasn't the origin of any religion. He's the founding father of a nation that was chosen by the Creator. That's what he is. The Father never said to him, I'm going to make you a great religion. He didn't say that. Leave your father's house because I'm going to make you a great religion. He did not say that. Or I'm sending Messiah to make a brand new religion. No, he didn't. He's not doing that. And he said he will do nothing, but he reveals his secrets to his servants, the prophets. And he said, the only people I have known are Israelites. So there is no Arab prophet in the Bible that has a religion that we're supposed to be following. There's no Arab prophet. So it's very simple, by the way. You want to be a prophet, you got to be of the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and especially Jacob. You got to be of Jacob's seed. According to the Bible, you're going to be a prophet because they're the only people that have received the oracles of the Father. Nobody else has. He hasn't taught it to anybody else. And anybody that would be touched by the Father will say that. That's right. Citizens of a nation are not founders of a religion. Okay? That's brainwashing. That's not Bible. And I challenge anybody of Christianity or Judaism, show me in my King James Bible that Abraham created your religion. Show me that. Or that he was called to create a religion. Show me in the Bible where Messiah said, I came to start a new religion. Show me that. Because it doesn't exist. Not in the Bible. There's no even description of Messiah starting a new religion. Like I said, the Bible describes things. It did describe this gods of the heathen that the king of the north fathers didn't know that they would heap gold and silver and precious stones and pearls upon this God that is the God of forces, and that this God of forces would divide the land for gain. Man, that sounds like Christianity to me. The institution of Christianity. Between Christopher Columbus, between the founders, Amerigo Vespucci. That sounds a lot like them. Okay. Nah, praise the Most High for the truth, y'all. For the truth of the word of the Most High. Praise the Most High for the truth. So that was chapter 26 of Genesis, walking in the steps of your father. Let us walk in the steps of our Father, our God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Praise the Most High. Yeah, let us walk in his steps and repeat his steps and walk in his righteousness. Praise the Most High. May the Most High bless you and keep you. and cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you and lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Shalom.